Hello, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me for a Facebook class with CJ Card Creations. Sorry, I was trying to say Friday because I'm just really wishing it was. Anyway, thank you for joining me for Facebook class on Thursday night with CJ Card Creations. My name is Christy Hillock. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Salt Lake City, Utah. So drop a comment, let me know where you're joining from. Whether you're catching me live or catching the replay, I'm so grateful for you, and I hope that you learn a lot tonight. I had to learn a lot in order to put together tonight's class. So I think it's going to be a good one. Hey, Mom, thanks for being here. It is going to focus on the soft pastels, which is something that we've had in our catalog since May, I guess, of last year. And I just looked at them and decided that's too much for me and I'm not going to do it. And I figure if that's how I feel, you very likely feel that way too. And let me just tell you, there's a lot you can do with them and they're very accessible. So we'll get to that. A few things I want to let you know. I have 3 classes open for registration right now. So first is my Hello Irresistible class. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. I don't know why they look so daunting, but anyway, my Hello Irresistible uses the Irresistible Blooms, which has beautiful fonts and flowers. And I am actually doing a stamp camp with 2 other demonstrators on April 1st. It will be in an exclusive Facebook group, and you'll have access to it, forever, as long as Facebook continues the way it is. And we'll have 9 different projects. You'll be taught how to do each one. So that's really nice. That's, I think, going to be a lot of fun. And the other 2 demonstrators are really great ladies too. So that registration closes, let's see, today's the 9th. So that closes on Saturday. And then I have my Lighting the Way class to go. And that's just my regular monthly class kit where you get, if you have the bundle already, then what you order is the designer series paper and ribbon and an embellishment and all of the pre-cut cardstock. Any die cutting that's not included in the bundle is done for you. And you create 6 unique projects that I have designed. So look for that. I've got the link in the description of this video. And then, let's see, I have my Monday night in-person class coming up next Monday. So that registration is included here as well. Hey, Janie, I'm glad you got here. So yeah, make sure you're registered for everything. I am really excited about all of the classes. I have some really fun things in each one. So other than that, tomorrow is the last day to sign up for Paper Pumpkin, and it is, you guys, my desk is a disaster because I was mid-project when I had to dash off yesterday, 2, 3, I don't know, I haven't been done here all week. It's been a crazy week. And then I was supposed to come down here and work tonight after I picked Jonah up at 6:30, and they didn't finish what they were doing until 7:10. So a little frantic, but that's okay. So this is the Paper Pumpkin that the subscription period ends tomorrow. It's called 10 Years of Growth because it is their 10th birthday. So that's really exciting. And because it is their birthday, they are including a bonus stamp set. So Paper Pumpkin, if you're not familiar, is our all-inclusive monthly craft kit. So it has your ink, it has all of the cardstock and die cuts and everything that you need. It includes an exclusive stamp set. And so that's all in this box. But because it's their birthday, they're including a second stamp set as a free gift. So this one focuses on botanical sayings and growth and imagery. So I think it's going to be really pretty. You saw the colors in that image. So really, really fun. So make sure you're signed up for that. And if you have any questions about how that whole process works, because the sign up for that is in a different spot than the regular ordering in my online store, just let me know. Okay, I think that's everything. I see some comments. If you are joining me, make sure that you drop a comment so I know you're here. Thank you for sharing. That helps me kind of boost my visibility on Facebook so that more people see what I'm getting up to. So, hey Maria, thanks for being here. All right, I am going to switch the view. There we go. And we will get started. Hey, Debbie, thanks for being here. So I have been loaned this box of pastels from Janie. So Janie, I'm glad that you were able to get here tonight to watch. These are really wonderful because they coordinate with our colors. If you're not totally familiar with Stampin' Up, our biggest thing is that color coordination. So this Daffodil Delight pastel, could not pull the word, coordinates with the cardstock, coordinates with the ink pad. Everything is the same shade, which is awesome. So let us get going because, you know, I design stuff thinking more like my regular classes that have lots and lots of time. And then we get started and I realize that I overbooked us. So I'm going to try to stay on target tonight. So the first thing that I did to play with these, you might be able to tell that this is shimmer paper. It's kind of hard to see, but this is 3 different techniques or ways of using these because I was just trying to get a feel for them. So I stamped the same image. This one I stamped in Memento Black, and the other 2 I did in either Crumb Cake or Sahara Sand. I'm not sure what that was. And then some of it, and of course, you guys, this was a couple weeks ago, so I don't remember exactly, but I think here what I did was like color directly on the paper and then use a blending brush to kind of spread it out. Not a blending brush, a blender pen. So they've got the liquid in them. So that looks like what I did there. This one, I think I tried to like daub it on, maybe. And then this one was picking up shavings of the pastels with a water painter and painting it on there. So that was kind of where I started. And then, do you guys want to see all of the cards first, or do you want to be surprised? Let me know if you, well, thanks. I actually didn't like any of those well enough to turn them into a card. So it's very rare that I can't figure out a way to make it happen. And those I just, I don't know, it's just not quite the look I was going for. So we are going to start here with So Saffron cardstock. All right, Janie, we will be surprised. So I've got all of these pieces here. So we're just going to do some quick assembly. And then we'll get to the actual cool technique. So this designer series paper is the, I want to say it's Design a Daydream. It was a host stack in the annual catalog. So yep, that's the right name, Design a Daydream. And it's got just really nice springy colors, which, oh my gosh, you guys, we just keep having snow and I need it to stop in a real bad way. So I'm grateful that we are at least having longer days, but I am just worn out with being cold all the time and yeah, wondering, oh, am I going to have to shovel when I get up in the morning? Unfortunately, Joe does most of the shoveling because he goes to CrossFit at 5 every morning. And so he's out there and ready to do it. But still, when it comes down during the day, I try to get it done. So anyway, yeah, just need some spring in my life. So we are just going to put this piece of designer series paper down onto a mint macaron mat. So say that 3 times fast. Speaking of Stampin' Up! Colors, there is a color refresh coming, and I don't have any idea what that is going to mean as far as what stays, what goes, all of that. So if you have colors that you love, please make sure before the end of this month that you go and you get the cardstock and the ink refill for them, because once they announce what's retiring, things will just vanish. They will go so fast, and you will be really sad that you can't really use your supplies that you do have as successfully because you don't have the other parts. Um, I do know that the, what is it, 2021 to 2023 in colors are retiring, because that's just a given. Every once in a while, they will keep or bring back an in color. But again, I have absolutely no idea what they will do this round. And we have been low stock on ink pads pretty much all the time, just because of how the supplies work. So they make the ink pads in Kanab, Utah, but they aren't staying real far ahead because they just don't have enough like of the materials. So they are low inventory on the colors that will be retiring. So if you want them, please, please go get them because I don't want you to be sad. And like I said, they go fast. All right, so I am pulling in this Peaceful Moments sentiment set. I absolutely love this one. We've had it for 2 or 3 years now, and it just has beautiful fonts, and the meanings are really, really sweet. Oh my gosh, there's always my hair, dog hair. It's a mess. So I am going to stamp this in some Highland Heather, and this is our Highland Heather cardstock. And Highland Heather goes really nicely with Gorgeous Grape, but it also works well with the Fresh Freesia. It gives it a pretty different look. But hey, Tiffany, thanks for joining. So just things to consider as you're thinking about what colors you'd like to use and put together. So this soft pastels assortment includes a Gorgeous Grape pastel. So for this card, what I did, this is just a 2-inch panel that I ran through the Eucalyptus 3D embossing folder. And now what I'm going to do is just take the side of my pastel and go over just like this, and I'm keeping it pretty even pressure. I don't really want to go past, like where the embossing is, because I don't want to get it all over the flat part. So I'm just going to tap off a little bit of extra there. So the only thing that I didn't love about this technique is that once this is on, it comes back off kind of more easily than you would expect. So that being said, you may want to set this, and I did set my sample with some hairspray. I looked it up, and hairspray is about as good as a product that was actually designed for that purpose. So I just figured hairspray would be great. So I'm obviously not going to take the time to do that here, but it works well. So we'll go ahead and line this up on here. And now I know that that is a little bit longer at the bottom than I actually want it to be, but for expediency's sake, I am not going to mess with trimming that right now because, like I said, I would like for us to actually get through all the projects tonight in a reasonable time frame. So I am just going to add a little bit of glue where it's going to be on the popped up panel, and then dimensionals for where it will be just kind of over the designer series paper. So this will go just right here. I think that's pretty straight. I'm about to give up on straight and just do everything crooked. Yes, Janie, your Aquanet will definitely be useful. It's funny, I totally remember that brand from high school. I have some big red bottle. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, I don't use it much. And I actually went and got my hair cut today, and she put hairspray on it, and the curls that she put in still did not hold. I was really kind of bummed because it looked super cute when she was doing it. But my hair just doesn't think that holding curl is part of its job. So I was really relieved though. She was looking at the spots where I think all my hair is falling out. She's like, well, I mean, yeah, it's thin, but it's definitely got new growth in there, which was reassuring. So at least I won't be bald by this time next year, hopefully. All right, so there is our first card with some of these enamel dot essentials, and they come in the white, the crumb cake, and the navy. So I think that one turned out really fun. It's really simple. The layout is lovely, so you could use it for all sorts of different projects. But it's quick and easy unless you're, going really involved. So now let's get to the next one. I'm glad you like it. All right, so this one is a totally different color scheme. I'm using Poppy Parade and black. So it's much brighter. And for this, I brought in the Perfectly Penciled Designer Series paper. So this is what we are going to, sorry for the glare. I put them in plastic because I did not want ink or chalk all over me. Pastel, is that the same thing as chalk? I don't know. So anyway, this is our Perfectly Penciled pattern. And I think that it is such a nice stack of paper because it is black and white, so you can use it all over the place. And you may not have noticed on the first card, but I did just add a strip of the same pattern of designer series paper to the inside of the card, and I'm going to do that again here. Just, it ties it all together. You could also do the flap of your envelope with the same pattern. I am not choosing to do that here just because I rarely mail my cards right away. So to have an envelope tied up with cards I'm not going to send doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So anyway, in case you've ever wondered, that is why I don't more often do my envelopes, but I do think it's lovely to have it all coordinated like that. Hey, Pat, thanks for being here. It's nice to see everybody tonight. I'm really glad to be here. Let me just tell you, I missed the time the last couple days to craft, and it is so much more fun with you guys anyway. So there is that. And then we'll put this strip on, and then we'll get to the actual pastel part of this one. So the other thing that I wanted to incorporate tonight with this was just showing you some fun layouts that are very replicatable. If you wanted to sit down and make a stack of birthday cards for the next few months, to carry you through the next few months or anything like that, it's really nice to have those layouts that are pretty easy. So the straight lines in the paper aren't perfectly straight, and it is really confusing my brain. But I think that's good. So, all right. So this, I want to make sure that I get this oriented properly. So we are going to stamp ink so that the Versamark doesn't dry out too fast. And you'll see what I mean here in just a second. But first, we are going to actually create our little palette of pastel. So for this process, what we need to do is bring in the, take your pick tool, and I'm going to use the spatula end of it. And I want the Poppy Parade to start. So I tested this. You can kind of see scratch marks right there on the side. I decided I think it's easier to scratch at the end. You just get better flaking, I guess. So make sure you can see what I'm up to here. So I am just shaking, you guys. I apologize. But I'm shaving some of this pastel so that I have a nice little amount of chalk there. Now I'm going to bring in my framed florets stamp set, and I want this stamp with my Versamark ink. So for this, Versamark is nice and sticky, but you want to work pretty quickly because it will dry within not a terribly long time frame. So make sure this is right. Okay, so I'm just stamping this right in the center of my panel. And if you would like measurements for all of this, make sure that you are subscribed to my email list. Just got a sponge dauber to pick some up here and rub over. So I send out an email every Monday morning with a recap of my Facebook Live, with the PDF, the links to the YouTube version of it. I just upload this over to YouTube. And then information about classes, specials, all sorts of different things. So if you would like to be on that list, make sure that you are signed up no later than Sunday night so you get the Monday email. And if you ever are watching a replay that is from a while ago and you would like the measurements, let me know and I'm happy to get those to you. So I think that that is enough color for that image. So I'm going to go ahead and clean off my little block here. And we will repeat this process now with some granny apple green. So again, just going to shave a bunch of this. So you can see that this is, you know, I've used quite a bit of the granny apple green, and it's not shrinking very fast. So you can get a set of these pastels and have them last for a really long time. So yeah, the dauber is such a handy little tool for so many different reasons. And I'm glad you like getting the emails every Monday. That makes me feel happy. You get so many ads for, you know, whatever you're subscribed to, that email can sometimes just be a little bit overwhelming, but I certainly try to make my emails something that would be useful for you all. All right, so the reason that I'm doing more of this is just because I know I'm going to stamp 4 times, do this process in each of the corners, but we'll see how far that gets us now. So make sure I'm not going to grab the wrong dauber there, and let me get the right stamp. I was noticing today that neither Emily nor Taylor, her friend who comes over, they hang out a couple times a week and they go to school together, had a runny nose. And I think that that might be the first time in 3 or 4 months that's been the case. So that's kind of fantastic and makes me feel like spring might be closer than otherwise thought. But of course, I'm looking down to work on this, so that always makes my nose run for some stupid reason. So I could tell you fun stories about runny noses from when I worked in the hospital, but maybe you wouldn't want to hear those. One of Joe's uncles always, anytime he sees me, wants to ask, like, what's the latest from the GI lab, which is the last job that I was in. And it just cracks me up that he always wants to hear the yucky stuff. So anyway, that is not the norm. And I will not torment you people with some of the stories that I do have. All right, so you can see how that's starting to come together. So it's a soft look. You could certainly be more precise with applying the pastel if you wanted to, but I like how the whole panel ends up being kind of covered with color, and then you just get these spots where it's emphasized with the Versamark ink. So maybe a little more right here. And then I kind of got closer to that corner than I might have wanted to. So we'll see how this does. Try not to mix the colors too much. All right, so there is technique number 2. So I hope that you like the way that looks. Oh, there were a lot of techniques that I found when I started looking, and I tried a lot of them, and some of them, like one of the things was using your water painter to just directly lift ink or chalk from the pastels, and I just didn't think that that was very effective, and I didn't love the look that resulted from it. So that was one that I decided not to show you. But the 3 that I am sharing, I do think are really fun and really accessible, which is kind of the more important aspect of it. So, all right, so this is going to adhere, and then we've got one more step. We're going to do our sentiment the same way, because when I started trying to decide how to do the sentiment, I didn't think that a cleanly stamped image would look right. So I tried it with this technique, and I really like the way it turned out. All right, so we'll let that sit on there for a second. And this one is a congratulations card. So I feel like you could use it for all sorts of things. Just depending, you could use these colors if you knew like a couple's wedding colors and do this technique in their colors and make it really special. You can do lots of things. So congratulations is actually from the Peaceful Moments. And this one, hopefully I will get to stamp straight. It's always a little bit harder to line up the red rubber stamps, but then you do get a really nice crisp image from the stamping. Okay, I think that'll be all right. Get the last of our pastel here. All right. And I did notice that I did that making it fold up a bunch of times. So that was a little bit annoying, but I just kind of rolled it out, you know, like that to straighten it back out, and that worked fine. So I don't know why now that looks crooked when it looked straight a second ago. Seriously. Oh, thank you, Tiffany. I'm really glad you're all liking these projects and techniques so far. And I really hope that you, if you have the pastels, like Mom, I know you do, that you will try them now because they really are fun to play with. It's just daunting to start. So for this one, we are going to use the white enamel dots. And I think that for especially the big ones, the little ones it's not quite the same, but for the big ones, the putty end just I could not make it play nice and pick these up. So that is why I'm using the spatula. Except that one's so teeny tiny. I also need to change out my putty, and I've been meaning to do that for a while, and I just keep thinking, oh, but there's still a little bit left, because you know, why waste something when you don't have to? All right, so there is our second project. And so you can see, like I had to double stamp this one because I didn't get enough Versamark the first time. So they do look a little bit different, but that's kind of what's awesome about this technique too, is that you're never gonna have two that are exactly the same. Even more so than, you know, with just regular cards. So we are down to the last one, and I kind of saved the fanciest for last because it's got some gold on it and some heat embossing. So this is some new specialty paper that we released on March 1st. And I chose to use the vanilla and gold combination. The specialty paper also includes copper and white and silver and white. And so it's gorgeous and a lot of fun to just add to different projects, you know, just a little bit of a special kick. So let's get all the right pieces out. So trying to remember, I think I actually used the Stamparatus for this the first time, but I'm not seeing a reason. So we'll be halfway through and then I'll realize why I should have used it again. All right, this one has a lot of pieces because I did matte everything. Oh, don't really want green all over everywhere. So I started with a Night of Navy card base and I pulled some designer series paper from, oh, all these names. Let me see if I can find it real quick for you. It's in the mini catalog and it is called Regency Park 6x6 designer series paper. And then the specialty paper is the naturally gilded specialty paper, in case you go looking. And it is 12 by 12, and it is, you get 2 sheets of each pattern. So, like I said, lots of pieces, but they'll come together really quickly. And this piece is really pretty. It was hard to choose, you know, to cover it up because I do really like the blue and yellow combo. I do a couple of different tutorial bundles with other demonstrators, and the theme for this month's with the Sweet Stampin' Friends was our favorite color combination. And so I actually chose blue and pink, and I thought that that card turned out really pretty. And I used this same specialty paper, but the silver and white sheet. So it was a lot of fun to do. But if you place an order in my online store for $35 or more, then you get that Sweet Stampin' Friends tutorial bundle, and it has 10 different projects. And like I said, the theme this month is all your favorite colors, or the designer's favorite colors. And then if you spend over 100 in my online store, you also get the Sweethearts Global Collective bundle, which this month has 16 projects, and it's all stuff from the mini catalog. So always current products so that you can order the things that you like and have something to make with them. All right, so that is going to go just right there. And again, all the layering is just because we're going to do all the gold, so I feel like it needs to feel a little fancy. So I like all of these 16th of an inch mats on some of the more intricate patterns. All right, so we are to the inside. We'll go ahead and do this for the inside. And this is a nice way to use up these little strips that otherwise you might just get rid of because of the measurements that we use. So hopefully that will make it easy for you to remember to decorate the insides of your cards. And certainly you could also stamp a sentiment that coordinates with the outside sentiment, or even just the flower image or something like that. But for purposes of these projects, I felt like just a strip of designer series paper was enough. All right, so there is that card just about ready to go. And we have a piece of vanilla. Okay, so I need my embossing buddy, and I'm just going to drop that on there to shake out some of the powder and get rid of the static. And since it's out, I'm going to go ahead and do the sentiment strip as well. And that is part of our embossing essentials toolkit, I think is what it's called, something along those lines. But it includes the reverse tweezers, which are super handy for not burning your hands when you're embossing, and also helpful when you're tying ribbons or doing all sorts of different things. Once you start using them, you will realize that you should have always had them, and you'll never stop using them. All right, so I am just inking this flower stamp in Versamark. And since it's clear, it can be kind of hard to see if you got enough. So I'm just really being careful to make sure I coat the whole thing. And then just like this. And I had gold embossing powder somewhere. There we go. Okay, so the toolkit comes with a plastic tray. I know we've talked about this before, but you can do what I'm doing over the plastic tray instead of a coffee filter. However, the tray has static, and that bugs me, so I like my coffee filter better. All right, so there is that, and now the tray has a spout too, but I can just dump this right back in, and inevitably I spill some. Does not matter how hard I try, but for the most part, I save the powder from waste. Okay, so here is the little reverse tweezers, so you see squeeze to open, and I'm just going to heat emboss this for you. So I like to let my heat tool warm up before I put it on the project, because if you leave it on too long, it will scorch your paper and scorch the powder. So once that feels warm, I always forget that you like to see this process. And you'll see that my heat tool is contraband, but it's purple and that's my favorite color, and I just am going to stick with it for as long as it lasts. So hopefully you can see that starting to turn. As it melts, it gets really shiny, and the separate pieces of powder melt together, and you have that beautiful look there. So, okay, there is that. Now what I'm going to do is bring in the Night of Navy pastel. And what's funny is that to me, this actually looks like Pacific Point. It is so bright, but it definitely goes nicely with the navy. And so I think we're just gonna roll with it. So this, I'm just gonna take the end and very carefully color in my little flowers. They don't need to be completely colored and perfect because we are going to kind of blend it all together when we get done. Let's see. If you wanted to take the time, you could certainly do the leaves in a different color. I just did not feel that fiddly when I was designing this one. And I think it's fun to really emphasize the flowers. So this is unrelated, but if you don't already follow me over on Instagram, make sure that you go and follow me there, because in the next few days, I'm going to be doing a bunch of kind of St. Patrick's themed stuff over there that I'm not necessarily going to be putting on Facebook. So you might want to check it out. Some of it will be card projects and some of it will be just other funny stuff and Irish stuff and all that. So I'm at CJ Card Creations over there as well. Okay, so as you see, the coloring goes really quickly when you're doing it like that. And then I'm just gonna bring in a tissue that I'm just kind of wadding up so that I can control. So you could also do this with a dauber if you wanted to. And you could see that I'm getting outside of the lines, so it's definitely not a precise technique. But if you wanted precise, you probably weren't going to use the pastels anyway. So there is that. Just tap off the extra there, and I think that turned out really nicely. And again, you can see it's different from the first round. I think it's a little bit lighter on this second card. So you just never know what you're going to get. And get this nice and mounted on here. So for this panel, because it is, because there are so many layers on this card now, I wanted to use some dimensionals to adhere this to the card, but I didn't want it to stand up too much in the thickest part. So I'm only going to put dimensionals on the corners, and usually I throw one in the middle as well. So that's why I'm telling you this, so that you know why I'm not doing that this round. So thank you, Tiffany. Mom, glad you're liking these. I just felt like the floral images in the framed florets stamp set were really, really nice for this technique. All right, so we'll get that centered on here. And we can do our sentiment quickly. Maybe, let me see. Life is better with a friend like you feels really long, but I'm sure I measured that strip, so should be okay. And I'll do like this. Get rid of that one so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Seriously running out of room. All right, so you can see the clear ink on the red rubber a little bit better. So you can see that sheen. So that is helpful. And you guys want to place bets on whether or not I actually get this straight, because it's feeling iffy. It looks a little crooked. But at this point, I think we're not going to be too picky. So I'm going to go ahead and try to dig out those reverse tweezers again. I mean, I just had them. I don't know where they went. The life of a crafter, right? There they are. All right, so tap this off. And I think that should be okay. I always like to look and make sure that I didn't have like a gaping hole in the ink that, is not gonna have powder on it. And then just word to the wise, make sure that you always put away your powder before you turn on that heat gun, or you will have powder everywhere. Ask me how I know. So, and this stuff is pretty fine, and so once it gets scattered, it's just not very easy to clean up. All right, so I always try to get the powder on quickly, but then from there, if I have to wait a couple of minutes before I can get to the actual heating and melting, that's not a big deal. So we are good to start on this, and my heat tool's still pretty hot from the first time, so. Like this, good job, palette. Very so bright and shiny and beautiful. So there is that. And I used my lovely labels Pick-a-Punch to get the ends on here done. And I think I'll just slide this in, and then I always like to flip it over and make sure that I truly am centered and that I'm not cutting off part of what I stamped. So you can see how I'm doing that. And when your strip of paper is cut right, it does fit in these guides. So these hold a 1/2 inch, a 3/4 inch, or an inch strip. But if it's off, or if it's slightly over that measurement, then it won't lay down nicely in those tracks. So that's part of why I always like to just look at what I'm doing, make sure it's centered. So for this, I just want to do some adhesive across the top because it is going to hang over a little bit, and I don't think that this has enough space to put dimensionals across the bottom. Although now that I say that, I bet the minis would work. So let's see if I have, ooh, even better, I have leftover strips of dimensional from a paper pumpkin kit. You can also buy the adhesive strips and cut them to be just the right size. So not adhesive strips, foam strips, I think. Anyway, you can make your own, but it's nice that I had some just sitting there. And I want this centered over this panel, just like that. And now we are going to grab some of our navy dots. And these dots, the navy ones, are really dark. So they definitely, you see what I mean about like just a little tough to pick that up with the putty. So anyway, these are really dark, but they do have a blue undertone. I just think they're darker than our Night of Navy. So let's see where all we want to do these. I've been liking 5s lately for my embellishments. Usually I do 3s, but I think 5s are pretty fun. So there is that last project. So I hope that you love these. If you do end up doing some pastel projects of your own, please share because I would love to see what else you come up with. Just to bring in what we made tonight. Get all of these laid out. And then of course I'll have pictures on Facebook and Instagram, and also I'll do a little write-up on my blog. So Janie, you are so welcome. I really appreciate the challenge. I have been feeling a little bit less than fresh lately in terms of ideas. So I really do appreciate having some suggestions, and I hope that you enjoyed tonight's class. If you would like to receive these kits, make sure that you place an order of $50 or more in my online store by Monday and be on my email list by Sunday night so that you get the dimensions. If you do get the kits, of course, I will also send you that link with the kits so that you don't have to go hunting in multiple places. But I think that's it. Make sure that you're registered for my classes. And if you have any questions or any other requests, I hope you will let me know. And I will talk to you, actually not next week because it's Jonah's spring break. So I will not be crafting with you guys next week, but I will be back the following week with not quite sure what yet. So anyway, you've got time to request. So love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you soon. Bye.